Once again, doing another podcast while I'm walking. I'm doing my 5-mile walk, and I'm trying to conserve the battery by not doing video. So a lot of times when I'm walking, it's better to do an audio cast, audio only as compared to video and audio, to save the battery time. Anyway, this is the Economy Stupid episode number 20. Again, it's the Economy Stupid episode number 20. And we've mentioned before that we've coined that particular phrase mainly because I think way back when Bill Clinton was in office, he actually popularized the phrase in an attempt to remind everyone that sometimes the big macro circumstances are what dictated what was going to happen and not happen in corporate America, as far as government, as far as the economy, as far as the big pictures are concerned. Sometimes we just have to look at the big picture. We're operating in we're not operating in a vacuum. We're operating in an environment where sometimes the level of the tides pretty much dictates what happens to all the boats. When the tide comes in, the water rises, all the boats rises. That's typically what happens in a good economy. And then conversely, when the tide goes out, usually the boats go down a bit to adjust to the water level as the tide goes out. Same thing with the economy, okay? I've got a big picture we need to take a look at. Let's keep focused on what's happening on the macro view. So having said all that, what's happening with the economy? The economy, unfortunately, doesn't look good. I'm trying to stay optimistic. I'm a businessman. I'm an investor, etc., entrepreneur. But I have to keep in mind that when certain big things are not going well as far as the economy is concerned, that does affect people, okay? And I'm trying to remind people, remind customers, remind visitors and viewers and different people who follow these blogs and podcasts and articles, whatever, how things are affecting them. I try to hedge my bets, work extra hard, and keep in good health so I'm not impacted as much. Hopefully you do the same thing. But just in case you're not, just in case you're perplexed and struggling in terms of trying to figure out which way, how to make ends meet, or how to make sense out of this, let's talk about some of the things that are going on that could be a roadblock to what you're trying to accomplish. The United States has just crossed, or is crossing, the $20 trillion mark as far as debt is concerned. We owe a substantial, record-breaking amount of debt. Countries like China, the Middle East, who knows, other Asian countries, they are footing the bill for the United States citizens. The taxpayers are working like slaves in order to pay off those creditors. Those creditors are going to be paid first. When you owe $20 trillion in debt, that means the priority goes to the creditors. Just like when you buy a house or a car, if you don't do anything, you better make sure that house note gets paid. You better make sure that car note gets paid. Okay? Same thing with the United States and its liabilities. We have to sacrifice because of the mistakes and the stupidity coming out of Washington, the mismanagement of the money, misappropriations, lying, cheating, BSing, bullshitting going on in Washington. These are all detriments that take its toll out on the taxpayers, out on the citizenry. You guys who are working 9-to-5 jobs and such, you young people, millennials, for instance, even a lot of older people, it's hard to work enough hours. It's very difficult to put in enough time, collect enough dollars, and I have to make a distinction between dollars and now what we have as an alternative currency, the Bitcoin. Let's make a distinction between that cryptocurrency and fiat, which are the dollars, in this case, government-backed money. If you're working for government-backed money, the fiat, the dollars, you're going to be so screwed. $20 trillion is getting to the point where you don't have any resources, financial resources left over as a government to build the highways, build the bridges, repair the infrastructure, build walls, do Medicare. Tax cuts are a moot issue. You can't stimulate anything at this point by cutting taxes. There's nothing to stimulate. Consumers are broke. Toys R Us is filing for bankruptcy. Malls are closing by the ton. Sears is pretty much history. Walmart and Amazon are pretty much the only game in town. Your sons and daughters and who knows who else, older people, are either going to be working for Amazon or Walmart. Pretty much that's it. So that is not very inspiring, not very positive, but that's going to be the reality going forward. So keep in mind also that the federal government is unwinding its balance sheet. That means a number of years ago when we had the 2008 financial crisis, in order to stimulate the economy, the federal government went into the marketplace, bought up all sorts of corporate debt, treasuries, everything imaginable to stimulate the economy. So they used our money to buy everything that they could get their hands on to stimulate the economy. That's the equivalent of going and printing more Monopoly money as you play Monopoly. You're going in the back room and printing more money so that you can still stay in the game. Okay? At some point, you were supposed to get out of the game, but the Federal Reserve and the central bankers of the world, they just don't let things unwind and unfold and collapse like they would do in nature or whatever. For some strange reason, they just print more money, try to remedy each and every problem with more and more money. So anyway, the Fed is going to be unwinding its balance sheet. The balance sheet has $4.5 trillion worth of assets on it. And when that shit hits the market, all of those assets, I don't care if it's corporate debt, I don't care if it's bonds, and the private market, public marketplace, I don't care what it is, that's a lot of assets that are going to hit the market. And at some point, it's going to sink a number of different asset classes. You could see a substantial decline in stocks and maybe real estate, bond yields, etc., etc. You name it. I'm not predicting a doomsday scenario, but it doesn't help when you have this much outstanding liability, either as a person or as a government or whatever, corporation, I don't care. When debt is this large and it becomes unmanageable to the point where it has gotten already, you're going to have some issues. Anyway, also we got to factor into that Bitcoin is ciphering tens of billions of dollars because certain people see it as a viable alternative. Millennials are draining their brokerage accounts. They're going to Fidelity. They're going to Capital One. They're going to TD Ameritrade, or whoever keeps their money. And they're saying, give me my money, I can do better than this with Bitcoin. They're hearing about these outstanding returns, and they're liquidating their money in these institutions, and they're going into to Coinbase, they're going to other exchanges, and they're buying Bitcoin, and they're seeing fantastic returns. Now, I'm not giving financial advice, but I can say that those returns, and I've been investing in Bitcoin since 2013, those returns are unprecedented, okay? There has been no asset class in a long, long time that has been keeping up with these types of returns that people are getting in Bitcoin. So anyway, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because now central banks, guess what they're doing? They want to come out with their own shitcoin. We call it a shitcoin because Bitcoin, if you study it and research it, you'll find out it has certain attributes that make it valuable, make it important, make it relevant. Okay, a certain amount of privacy, a certain amount of efficiency, a certain amount of independence is what you get, a certain amount of efficiency, you name it, in terms of me being able to send money to you and vice versa, and people not monitoring it and get in the way of it and telling me, you can't send this, you can't do that, or chargebacks are a non-issue for merchants. a number of things, a number of advantages. But if the central government comes out with its own shitcoin, they're not going to give you those attributes. There's no way possible. You're going to be monitored and surveilled. You're going to be put on lists that determine whether or not you can get loans, whether or not you can get access to your own money. If you say the wrong things, maybe violate some sort of what otherwise would be freedom of speech, or if you say the wrong things against the government, who knows what, all criteria. Maybe somebody will say, I think you were involved with terrorist activities, money laundering, whatever. Just a mention of that could ultimately get you banned if someone, like if a government agency is issuing a cryptocurrency. That means that they can flip a switch and turn it on, turn it off, limit your availability of funds, etc., etc., in addition to all the monitoring, tracking, and tracing. So just be aware of the fact that there's only one Bitcoin, but the central bankers of the world they want to get in on the game. They fear that they're going to be made irrelevant. Bitcoin is really designed to not so much replace fiat, but to definitely give us an alternative. Maybe cryptocurrencies over the long run will replace fiat, government-issued fiat. Maybe not, but definitely we have an alternative right now. Okay, I use Bitcoins every day pretty much for some fashion or another. And I can tell you it has very practical utility in addition to being a store of value. So don't believe the Jamie Dimons. Don't believe what's happening in China. Don't fall for the hype, the bullshit that people are trying to put out there, the negative BS regarding Bitcoin, because Jamie Dimon is lying to you. When he says that it's a fake, Bitcoin has only been in existence for 10 years. Every hacker who knows anything about hacking, every security professional who knows anything about cryptocurrency, cryptography, every major investor in Wall Street, every government agency all over the planet has had 10 years to study and analyze and find a significant flaw or something, vulnerability in Bitcoin, and exploit it and put it out there and cause it to crash or cause it to basically go up like a puff of smoke. That hasn't happened. So I'm led to believe that maybe it won't happen. Who knows what will happen in the future, But as far as I can tell, the best minds, the best researchers, the best students, academics, people out of MIT, people out of Silicon Valley, people from Wall Street, all these people are studying Bitcoin, studying blockchain. They're looking for vulnerabilities. They're looking for weaknesses. But above all, they're making it stronger. They're making it more resilient. Bitcoin is actually like a virus or something, or like an immune system exposed to viruses. The more you expose your immune system to viruses and bacteria, it gets stronger. So the more things that threaten Bitcoin, like a honey badger, it gets stronger and it actually fights back. So anyway, when the Jamie Dimons of the world come around talking about, it's a fake, it's a scam, it's a Ponzi scheme, don't believe the hype. You probably can go to some subsidiary or some brokerage office owned by JP Morgan and buy Bitcoin if you want to. So unless these idiots realize they're colluding and aiding and abetting something that's fake, then he needs to shut the fuck up, okay? Mainly because he actually issued his company, JP Morgan. You can Google cryptocurrency patents. These morons actually went to the patent office, tried to file patents to get cryptocurrency patented for the corporation. If he didn't like it, if he thinks it's a Ponzi scheme or a scam or a fake, he shouldn't be trying to file patents so that you guys can buy his shit coins, okay? Not only that, he actually lost $38 billion in fines and penalties for everything from money laundering to bribery to hiring nationals from the Chinese, trying to put, the children of certain nationals out of China in the various high positions at J.P. Morgan Chase as a way of doing favorites, favoritism, so he can get contracts and deals in China or whatever. And that's a public record too. You can Google that. The fact that he got caught hiring people, the siblings of certain Chinese nationals, putting them into high positions at J.P. Morgan in an attempt to get favor with the Chinese powerful and elite people. You name it. Energy contracts that were priced so that they were taking advantage. They've been fined for that. Mortgages, LIBOR rigging, interest rate rigging through LIBOR, same thing, fined for that. The list just goes on and on. It's actually $38 billion since around 2009, I think. Anyway, that's public information. So he's a lying hypocrite. And China has schizophrenia. They don't know whether or not they want cryptocurrencies or not. They don't know whether or not they want ICOs or not. They're going to jump in and out, whatever. Anyway, most of that business is going over to Japan anyway at this point. Major exchange business has migrated to Japan, and everybody's saying screw China. Who gives a shit what they do over there? As far as cryptocurrencies are concerned, we don't need centralized exchanges in China if they're going to be wishy-washy. That Japan can handle that. If mining moves over to Japan or will come to the United States or wherever it goes, that's fine as well. So that could very well work out. The resiliency of Bitcoin is phenomenal. Look at the pricing. It's been hit left and right by everything imaginable, including some idiot editor or reporter in the Wall Street Journal talking about it could be worth zero if it's worth 5,000 or some stupid shit. The article doesn't even make sense, but his premise is so severely flawed that he's not even considering that this is a 9-year-old programmable currency that's learning every single day how to defend itself against real and perceived threats. Not only that, when you have dollars and fiat currencies and governments around the world collapsing all around each other, guess what's going to happen? People in other countries, they will use Bitcoin as a matter of survival, not convenience, not speculation, a matter of survival. They're going to get their Chinese yuan or renminbi or whatever and put their fucking money into that thing, and they're going to get it out of the country as soon as possible. So China's acting defensively, trying to stem the capital flight, just like the Venezuelans, just like the fucking people who are doing in Mexico, just like, you name it, Cyprus. The list goes on and on and on. These people know full well this is not some matter of convenience or something. This is survival for your family, for the little bit of money that you still have. You put it in Bitcoin, you get it out of the country, put it somewhere beyond the reach of government, and you can actually survive another day. So this is serious business, what they're using Bitcoins for. So forget about these idiot writers in America who have no clue what it means to, live hand to mouth, because the inflationary consequences of printing fiat. Anyway, there's a few things to think about here, things that for you guys to chew on, but mainly just remember that there's some very negative signs going on. I'm not a doomsday person, but the writing is on the wall. Too much debt, currency's all fucked up, banking system is rigged, too many scams going on. Can't stop the bankers, can't put them in jail. They have a license to steal. That's not going to work. Fractional reserve banking is a major issue. Printing money out of thin air. If you give a bank $1,000 to put in an account, they somehow manage to get $30,000 out of that, or some crazy amount, to go out and lend and speculate. And if they fuck up and lose money, guess what happens? The government steps in and gives them a bailout at our expense. So that further depreciates the money in your pocket. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Keep in mind that we need to protect ourselves. You can't rely upon Trump. You can't rely upon the government. You can't rely upon anybody except the people who are working on open source, peer-to-peer, transparent cryptocurrency technologies that allow you to use your own money as a store of value, a currency, the Bitcoin just has so many attributes to it. A currency is the least one we need to think about at this point. Mainly, we want to store our wealth. We want to secure it. We want to be able to take it with us and do with it what we want to do with it. Okay, that's what's more important. We're going to be programming a lot of new features and benefits into Bitcoin and the blockchain, like we're doing now, and into the near future, longer-term future as well. So you're going to see things that you haven't seen before. The dollar, the fiat currencies are going to look downright primitive going forward as you compare the two. That's why a lot of millennials they simply bypass bank branches. Even right now, Bank of America just announced they're closing down 1,500 branches because nobody gives a shit about walking into a branch anymore. You can have a bank in your pocket. You can be the banker. With Bitcoin, you are the banker. Okay, you store your private keys in a hardware wallet like Trezor or Nano Ledger, something like that. Open Dime, research that as well. And you will be the banker. You take your $1 million on a little USB stick or something from country to country, to place, and no one can stop you. No one will even know what's going on with your own finances. So open up your eyes. Talk to your neighbors, friends, relatives, associates. Let's get on board of changing the world. This is world-changing shit. We got developers and programmers staying up all day and night because this is a war going on right now, where we're literally changing the way the monetary and financial system works in the United States, and the bankers and the government, various government agencies are going on the defensive, and they're scared. They're literally running scared because this has the potential of disrupting the entire financial markets, okay? If you don't believe me, Google the Bank of International Settlements and Bitcoin, and you'll clearly see that they're saying the same thing, okay? They're saying that this Bitcoin boom is no longer a minor issue, no longer a trivial issue, no longer something that's off the radar. It's clearly on the radar. There's billions and billions of dollars being pumped into Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, and people are getting sick and tired of living hand to mouth and not having control over their financial futures, okay? So that shit is going to come to an end very soon. We're going to be in complete control. And the other guys on the opposite side of the table, they can hang on to the legacy system if they want to, but a number of us have seen the light, and we're living it right now. And we can clearly see that this is the way to go. So anyway, you guys have a good day, and thanks for listening to this podcast. Share it and discuss it and debate it, and let's see if we can figure out how to make the world a safer place. Okay? Have a good day. Thanks. Take care. Bye.